Joe Rogan finally snaps at Mark Maron for trashing him and his friends.
Just addicted to these arguments that people have constantly, every day, calling people assholes and losers, and you're just carrying around all that bullshit with you all day.
That's exhausting.
Which is why I don't do it. I mean, I could go in on fucking every person that ever wronged me or this, that, and said bad things about me, like, and it's just like super unhealthy.
Well,
super
we know
unhealthy
people
for you.
our age who are still doing that shit.
Of course. Don't
Comics.
Mark Maron, don't say it.
Just like that, he put him on blast.
I mean, I don't get it.
He's sad. He's sad. He wants other people to hurt. That's what it is.
It's just not charitable. It's
well, it's also he's pathologically jealous. Like he's like literally mentally ill.
Kinda based to Joe Rogan, not gonna lie. Calling out Mark.
Thing is that Maron's podcast, which was #1, isn't even in the top 100 anymore. I don't even think it's in the top 200.
First of all, how was it ever #1?
It went away. And it went away not because he did anything. He didn't get arrested. There was no scandal. People just stopped being interested in it. And I think that hurts the most. And
why did they stop being interested?
It's not good.
All right, so it looks like Joe Rogan finally proved that
It really is that simple. It's a skill issue. Get good.
he's not above shit talking, even though, of course, he still somehow tries to act like he's above it. You know, he goes from saying he doesn't hate on people who have said bad things about him to spending 20 minutes going off on Mark Maron. So he finally just snapped. And of course, he's way more tuned in to what people are saying about him than he wants you to
If that's Joe Rogan snapping, I want to see what he's like when he's really angry.
believe. And he's definitely not above drama. You know, because usually Rogan tries to avoid feeding into any beefs with other comics or saying anything bad
You should challenge him to a duel. I want to see Joe Rogan in a cage with Mark Maron.
about them, publicly at least. Like Maron, he's been trashing Joe for around a decade, and Rogan would rarely acknowledge it on his show. But it looks like Maron's last special, where he made a joke about Theo Vaughn, and the media tour he did, where he was trashing the Rogan sphere every chance he had, really got to Joe, and now the gloves are off. I mean, he must have been holding this in for years, and he finally just ran out of patience because he was ready to go. Like, he was prepared. He mentioned a Reddit post that was criticizing Mark's podcast, and he knew this weird stat about his comedy shows, and he's aware of everything Mark said about him.
So Joe Rogan's lurking. He's hate watching.
So Rogan acts like he's above all the haters and doesn't care what people think about him. You know, it's all just noise. But it turns out he's human, and he's actually pretty invested in what Mark, and I'm sure a lot of other people, are saying about him and his crew. And even before this, that was already starting to show. Like last year, Joe thought Mark was trashing Bert Kreischer, and he sent Bert a message and told him he needs
Bert, alert! I'm gonna take off my shirt.
to stop being friends with Mark. So now I think just all the criticism of the Rogan sphere and the Austin comedy
Bert Kreischer, #1 comedian in the world.
scene has reached a boiling point for Joe. And I think specifically comedians that have been mocking him and his crew got to him the most, because now it's not just Mark. You know, there are a good amount of prominent comedians that goof on him, which their opinions mean more to Joe than just a normal civilian's opinion. And Joe desperately wants to be seen as a respected comedian and be respected by comedians. So I think it hurts him the most when comics are trashing him. And now that that's kind of become mainstream and Maron's getting more attention for it than ever, Rogan finally felt the need to respond. You know, I think Rogan realized a lot of people are actually starting to agree with Mark now, and that's why he needs to point out that Mark is just a miserable and jealous hater. And also,
Who the fuck is agreeing with Mark Maron?
oh, it's hilarious. Rogan decided to respond right when Maron ended his podcast. I'm sure that's definitely another reason why he responded now. And Joe thinks Mark's podcast falling off is a big
Final guest Barack Obama after 16 years.
reason why he's so bitter, because apparently early on in podcasting, when Mark had the #1 podcast, Joe said that's when he's the nicest and he stopped talking shit about people. But then once Joe and other
So Mark Maron was a podcast comedian himself. He positions himself as if he's not.
podcasters started passing him, then he went back to his old ways. And Joe said it's the same thing with stand-up. Mark has a falling out with everyone who does better than him. So Joe saying this stuff is definitely going to set Mark off. And he's probably going to want to bring his podcast back after he hears this, you know, just so he can rant about Joe every episode.
Like, do you understand? Mark, when he first started, when he was just first coming up, was friends with Mitch Hedberg, and then Mitch Hedberg hit, and he couldn't be friends with him anymore.
Really?
Yep. Stop being his friend. Same thing with Louis C.K. Louis C.K. and him were tight. Louis blew up. Mark didn't. He had to fucking hate him, and he turned on him. Talked shit about talk shit about him openly. And then he became successful. And the years where Mark was successful were the best years of Mark. Because Mark was fun. Like, I've had ups and downs with Mark. I've gone
He should have him on his podcast.
through this with him like 3 or 4 different times where he gets upset at me, and then we talk, and then, are we good? We're good.
He sounds like a girl.
Like, he likes to do that. He likes to talk shit about you, and then you confront him, and he says, you're right. And with me, my relationship with him was really complicated because when I was an open micer, I was 21 years old, and I was just starting out. Mark gave me a compliment once that really helped me. He came up to me, and he goes, hey, man, you're really funny. He says, keep doing what you're doing. Don't listen to anybody else. Just keep doing what you're doing. I was like, wow, thank you.
That's his best side. That's the good side.
It is not all bad.
No.
And he was a young...
It's kind of crazy that Joe Rogan does comedy as like a side quest, but he views it as the main quest. Like, that's not what he's good at. Maybe there's a lesson in there.
guy back then, right? So he was just being cool. And then over time, obviously I became more famous than him and more successful than him. And he does not like that. He fucking hates that. And
I think he just has fun doing comedy, so he loves it. There's a quote, you're never going to beat someone who's just having fun. And Joe Rogan embodies that.
only time we were cool was when Mark was #1. So Mark, the podcast took off, and you got to realize it took off when he was deep into his 40s, right? And it was the #1 podcast in the country. And he was on Rolling Stone magazine, and, you know, he had his own show on IFC, The Marin Show, and he was fucking great. He was cool to hang with. He was fun because he didn't have to compare himself to anybody anymore because he was a success. Like, he could look at his own success.
He got one-shotted by social comparison.
He was doing a television show. He had his podcast. Everything was great. And we were cool. Like, we were friends. Like, I'd see him. I'd give him a hug. I'd say, what's going on? We would talk. We're friendly at the store. We never hung out off site. But we were friendly. Like, we had pushed all the beef aside. And he even did my podcast. We had a great time. And then I started getting more successful. And then my podcast passed his. Then my podcast became #1. And then the Spotify deal. And that's when he started talking shit about me. So he started talking shit about me long before all this Trump stuff. This Trump stuff is just the most recent iteration of this bizarre
Many such cases. Joe Rogan got his bag up and his funny up.
thing that he does with people.
And I'm sure Mark's going to flip out over this, but also he's probably a little satisfied knowing he's really getting in
He just pinpointed his hater spawn points.
Rogan's head. I mean, this goes on for almost 20 minutes, which is wild because normally Rogan tries to avoid talking about any conflict between comedians. You know, he never really wants to call out comics anymore. Like he used to back in the day, you know, with Carlos Mencia and Jay Moore. Rogan ruined those guys. Like he used to be able to destroy careers. But I don't think he's really called out a comic like that since Jay Moore. So that's why this Marin beef is a pretty big deal. You know, shit's getting serious for Rogan. Because also at this point, why even address it? Like if Marin's a washed up comedian who's had a failed podcast and nobody listens to him now and he's just a hater, why not just let him fade into irrelevancy? So Rogan must think of him as more of a threat now than ever. And
I don't think Rogan thinks of him as a threat. I think Joe Rogan actually cares about interpersonal connections and just wants to be truthful with each other. Because if you're that successful, like you don't even have the patience to have ops or enemies. I feel like he's willing to be boys with him, but he can't keep his name out of his mouth.
Also, Joe said he got really pissed about that joke Mark Maron made on his special about how Theo Von would do a podcast with Hitler, because apparently that sent Theo into a spiral. So Mark is wreaking havoc on these people. Like, it's crazy. He has Joe Rogan now acting like sometimes jokes.
Dude, I do not trust Theo Von. That is a federal agent. That guy came out of nowhere. His whole backstory, his lore, nothing adds up.
Go too far. And Theo Von is off limits. You know, it's funny that Rogan will praise Tony Hinchcliffe nonstop for roasting random open micers. But then if a comic makes a joke about Theo Von, it's like the end of the world. So Rogan gets defensive about Theo here and says Mark just made the joke because he's jealous of Theo, which he probably is jealous of Theo, but also I think Rogan's kind of coping here because he also proves the joke was accurate. It's so funny. He's like, Mark said Theo would have Hitler on. Does he really believe that? Does he think that's true? Come on, Theo has anyone on his podcast. He'll talk to anyone.
He also lies. Like, one of the things he lied about, he did a podcast with Howie Mandel, and Howie Mandel asked him if he had
Theo and Tom's wife. Yeah, isn't there like a weird comment there? What happened with that? Hold on, let's do a little deep dive. What did Theo Von say?
Nothing ever happened between me and your wife. You know that, right?
I mean, yeah,
Because I felt like I said that there and you didn't believe me.
I did not believe you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much you're no holds barred when you do your comedy. You'll go dirty, you'll go whatever. So is it hard for you to go
That's weird. I don't like that.
on TV and be TV queen?
No, not at all. I mean, I was on Chelsea lately for like a year. I've written for television.
Why would I not believe you?
I don't know. I just got this energy, and
I didn't think that video was weird at all.
I didn't think it was weird at all. I mean, I thought it was just, kind of nice. She was kind of taking control of the interview a little bit, and that was it.
I saw that thing like, I don't know, years ago.
Bro, someone grabs my wife's hand. Shh. Sharia law, real quick. Are you kidding me? That's my wife.
And like, why would I react to that?
Yeah.
Your show with the mouse guy.
Dig.
That hit me.
That did not hit you.
That hit me. The mouse guy.
Wow.
Seems silly.
Did you feel upset that I didn't try to make any moves on your wife?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
I've always thought that she was an attractive lady. But
yeah.
We both.
Bro. What? The fuck?
Both did Road Rules a season apart, and I remember coming to Mexico.
John, this is why you need to become lethal. This is why you need to become jacked. This is why you need to turn yourself into a weapon, so nobody tries this shit.
The first time I met you in the 90s, and I remember because you had a Chihuahua, a little dog. Do you remember that little doggy you had?
I've never had
Skittish.
that, so that wasn't even me. But
That wasn't when you guys in the green room. I was like that. Then she was like, then somebody was like, what about when you guys were on TV on the same show or something?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I mean, that was 20 years ago. I don't know. Like, why would I?
no.
But even if you had, I'd be like, that's 20 years ago. Like, you're gonna get mad at someone for something they did 20 years ago?
Yeah, wouldn't it be fair?
Dude, I mean, it's totally fine if you bang my wife. What the fuck?
Fair.
It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
problems with comedians. Like, no, I don't have any problems with any comedians. I've never had any problems with comedians. Like, what are you talking about? Is that a problem with every single comedian that's more successful?
What's up with comedians and being cucked? It's a epidemic. I don't know. Bro's got a Liver King Max. I'm pulling that up just for the vibes. Most bass clip ever.
They have to go into a certain position. I mean, you're massive, right? So, and also, I don't know how well endowed you are, but like, what's the situation with your what position? Do you have to go in a position, or are you guys fully flexible? Because you're both very muscular.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Never talk about my wife in this context.
Okay.
Than him. Bill Burr, Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, me.
The beta, Theo, I didn't fuck your wife, versus the alpha, Bert, I'd kill her then myself. Here's the thing. Never talk about my wife in that context.
Tony Hinchcliffe, everybody that passes him, all of a sudden he talks about them on stage. And the Theo thing really drove me nuts because that sent Theo into a real spiral.
Did it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, Theo went into a spiral, and that was a big part of him getting attacked was Maron talking about him on a special, saying that he'd have Hitler on his podcast. Well, why is he saying that? Does he think that's true? Does he think that Theo has anybody on his fucking show, including Bernie Sanders?
He's learning. He wants to learn.
He'll talk to people, and he will talk to anybody on his podcast. That's not what the thing is. The thing is that Maron's podcast, which was #1, isn't even in the top 100 anymore. I don't even think it's in the top 200. It went away.
And I think Mark definitely is bitter. Like, he hates how successful Rogan's podcast and comedy career are. But some of his criticism is valid, and it's just hilarious that he's getting to Rogan this much. Like, Rogan even mentions a Reddit post he saw about how bad Mark's podcast is, which, if he's on there, he should also see what Reddit thinks of his podcast. Of course,
Let's see. I want to look at the rankings. WTF with Mark Maron has been ranked among the top podcasts by weekly listeners. Is often featured in the best of lists, though specific current rankings can fluctuate. One source places it at number 29. There's no way. Maybe he's got the sauce like that. Ranked number 4 in comedy? Joe Rogan has no idea what he's talking about. Dude, he's up there. Somehow. Are there a lot of people still listening to podcasts? I don't know. I've been out of the game for so long.
Post about Rogan that's negative is from a jealous hater, but if it's a negative post about Mark Maron, it's legit criticism.
Like, if you're not listening to kick.com/Philion, I mean, what are you doing with your life?
But even though Rogan does get a lot
If you're not habit stacking me, listening to me while you walk your dog, do the dishes, fold some laundry, using me as white noise, you would think that you're doing something way better with your time, but that's impossible.
criticism, he obviously still is a way more successful podcaster than Mark, which I believe Mark is definitely bitter about. I think he even admits that.
People just stop being interested in it. And I think that hurts the most. And
Why do they
This is just an interactive podcast, motivation propaganda for a better living. So true.
stop being interested?
it's not good. Here's a part of it. Like, the conversations that he has are fine. But the beginning of the podcast is these, like, self-indulgent rants about life and him doing things. And there's a thread dedicated on, like, Reddit where people fast forward to the time, like, they give you the time stamp of
Joe
when
Rogan's got the burner account. You already know. Definitely not Joe Rogan. Black belt comedian.
and he's done ranting. So you can just get to the interview. Because nobody wants to hear it. Like, it's an inside, joke. But
Funny jujitsu man, 1965.
it just, that's, the reality is, it's like Theo passed him, like rocketed past him, and now he has like the number 2 or number 3 podcast in the world.
And then Rogan starts trashing Maron's comedy career, like he was not holding back during this episode. And he mentions how he's pissed it never really took off and he feels like he deserves more success. And then Joe mentions how sad Maron's fans are and brings up that he has the record for most single seats sold to a comedy show. So Rogan was really prepared with ways to trash Maron. I mean, I don't know how you can pretend like he's above feeding into beefs or attacking comics anymore. I mean, I get why Rogan would want to respond to him and trash him. You know, it's fair game. But you can't act like you're above it all at the same time. I mean, like I played in the beginning, before he starts going on this rant, he's like, man, I could go off on every person that's ever wronged me, but I don't engage in that kind of thing. You know, it's just bad for you. It's unhealthy. And then
But Mark Maron is obsessive with his hate for Joe Rogan. I feel like it deserves somewhat of an acknowledgement.
proceeds to just go off on Mark Maron for 20 minutes. You know, it's like he was trying his best to hold himself back, and he knew he shouldn't go off on Mark, but he just couldn't
If you come at the Great Comedy Con of Austin, you better go for his head.
help it.
Maron never developed an audience for his comedy, and he always felt like he deserved it. And that's what drove him the most nuts. He always felt like he deserved it. But it's like, you deserve what you get. You know what he has a record for? One of those ticket things, whether it's Ticketmaster or whatever one. Number 1 for selling single seats.
That's interesting.
That's not good.
Oh, that's really interesting. So
People with no friends.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. Single seats? People with no friends? That's diabolical. Is that what that means?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. that's a
Sad people.
wild-
Sad people that identify with the way he behaves. But the proof is in the pudding. Do people come to see you? Do you put
That was cold. Single serving friends getting dunked on.
asses in seats? Do they enjoy the time? Or is it an angry bomb where you're on stage ranting about other comedians? Well, that's Maron. And he does that all the time. Tim Dillon was just saying he was doing that in L.A. the other day. Just ranting about other comedians that are at the Riyadh Comedy Festival.
What type of hater do you have to be to dig up a stat like that? He's in the trenches.
Which is all, like legitimate area of criticism, if you can make it funny. Like, you're working for the Saudi government, and they've definitely done some stuff that's fucking horrible. The root of it all is not real. It's not that he cares so much that he wants everyone to do the right thing. That's not it. He's upset that all these people are getting attention. He's upset that it's very childish. But he'll make it look like, he's the righteous side, the left, the progressives. He's the voice now, and he's going to fucking...
If you're a millennial chungus, Mark Maron must just hit so hard.
We got work to do. We got to get these fascists out.
If you collect Funko Pops, Mark Maron might be your favorite comedian.
No, it's about him getting more attention. That's what it ultimately
If you like to watch from the cuck chair, Mark Maron's your top guy.
is all about. And that's unfortunate. And I'm not mad at him. And if I saw him and I talked to him, we were cool, I'd give him a hug.
Yeah, so maybe they could just hug it out and do a podcast together.
And that's why Joe Rogan's the man. Seems more like Gen X leftist humor. It's impossible to be funny and a leftist.
And, you know, we can't have the last line of defense fighting with each other like this. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure this is just going to escalate, and other comedians will probably chime in and start beefing. So it's definitely going to make comedy way more interesting. But let me know what you guys think. And if you want to hear about
Joe wasn't even invited out to get some Riyadh money. It's because he's above that, dude. Never catch Joe Rogan over there.
how Rogan's good friend Duncan Trussell and Theo Vaughn have been spiraling recently, I've been covering that over on my Patreon. And